Hey everybody, welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show. I'm your host, Josh Morris, and joining me live tonight, we got special guest, VIXIE Lynn from the BITN Bumps in the Night, the old paranormal group that Terry Lynn and I used to have. For those of you that don't know, VIXIE is my wife, Terry Lynn Morris. So welcome to the show, honey.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. You finally got me on here.
Yeah, I finally got you on the show, so I'm excited.
Except for me yelling from the other room.
Right? So for that, we have a very special, the reason why that you're on the show tonight, and of course I've been wanting to get you on, but right. One of the things that my wife kept insisting on is she's like, Josh, you've got to dig through you got to try to find and see if we have any evidence, any stuff left over from a lot of our investigations. Well, because one thing through moving and over these last years here, we've lost a lot of evidence. We've lost a lot of things. We used to back up everything on these on CD, right? And CDs don't always weather the storm. They're not always the greatest storage devices, but out of a lot of the lost evidence, I was able to salvage like 12 recordings. It's sad. We had, I don't know, hundreds of photos, tons of EVPs, cases. Now, of course, I think we still had some case files, but again, that was for protecting the privacy of those people. But the stuff we can show you tonight, we're going to go through. This is EVPs that we dug up from a long time ago. Again, I would say that all of these EVPs are, 13 years old probably?
God almighty. Has it been that long? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Now, what I want everybody to do is, I would like you to play them. And I would want to see, but without us telling them, I want to see what they hear. Right.
So for those of you, let me pull up.
Especially that one, and you know which one I'm talking about. Oh, what the heck with those creepy eyes? Anyways, I definitely want to know what that one says, because that one was really loud.
Right. Well, and again, for those of you that are listening, and we'll get into them here in a little bit. I want to give some people some time to get in here.
Right.
I don't want to just start blowing through the EVPs. So, honey, I always tell people that, I never like to share your stories from your past because I always want you to be able to tell them. I don't necessarily want to ruin your story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take away from your story. So, really, what's some of your first paranormal experiences that you ever had?
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, good thing this is a long show. No, I'm not going to be that long with it. I won't do that. But I was raised in a very traumatic home back in Florida, and it was very haunted. The previous owner, from what I understand, had passed away. But that's not even the one that I think that was haunting the house. I mean, I know he had to have come back a few times, but looking for his wife. But ever since I can remember, even past our son's age, I'm talking like maybe 8, 9 years old, I would be playing in my bedroom and I would always hear voices. And no, I'm not schizophrenic or anything like that. No offense to whoever is. I know it's mental illness, and but no, I would hear audible voices, but you could never make out their words. Now, as a little girl, it didn't really bother me and scare me as much. Then I would always feel that feeling like somebody was playing with me or somebody was there watching me. So, and as time got, as I got older, it started to creep me out a bit. When I would be like 10, 11, 12, there were some times that I would feel like somebody was in my room and staring behind me or just in there. But they never really did anything malicious to me, and I'll get to that later, but to find out who it was, I already know who it was. And it was nobody that was a relative of mine, and it wasn't the previous owner. So he he was my strength. He helped me get through a lot of times when I was a little kid, and I didn't have the greatest upbringing, but he helped me be strong. And I was a runner. That's a major important part. I was a very, very good cross country and track runner. I was ranked pretty high in my state at an early age.
Right.
And but there was times, and that's also a lot of it, because once I tell you who it was, it'll make a lot of sense once I get to that point. But there's a lot of times I'd be in the bathroom and I could feel somebody standing outside the door just to make sure I was okay. Fast forward a little bit, I would run, and I would always run really, really fast. There was times that I'd come home from school. My dad was working. He was in the Civil Service Air Force also. My mom also worked. So I'd have to come home. I was one of those latchkey kids that could come home. And I didn't like being at home by myself because I always feel like somebody was wanting to talk to me. And I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to. I was like 12, 13 at the time. And a couple times it scared me so bad that where I just opened the front door and I just yelled back to the living room. And I just yelled back before I closed the front door. I said, "Leave me alone. Go away." And I slammed the door and I left. That's when it really scared me. Now, fast forward a little bit later on in life, I'd actually gotten married. Now, not to Josh, to my previous husband, my first husband, and Black Widow. Anyway. And my ex-husband wasn't nice at one time. We got in an argument, and he wrote me a very strongly worded, messed up letter. And God, I'm fast forwarding so much that that I'm not being able to put across the craziness that happened in this house. It was nuts. My mom would feel things. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. I was on my bed, and my ex-husband had came over and was apologizing to me. Now, I had a candle lit by my bedside, and I had his letter completely across the room on the dresser. And when he went to apologize and hug me, that letter, I swear on my life, burst into flames.
Wow.
I started screaming. I yelled for my dad. My dad came running in the room. He had to stomp it out on the carpet, and it actually melted the carpet. So, yeah, that's just one of the things. Then I knew this entity was trying to protect me for a lot. Now, I'm sure you want to say something, but I'm running over your show. I told you this was going to happen.
That's okay.
Now, for my mom, a lot of things would happen too. My dad had got stationed in Korea, and it was just me and my mother at the house. And there was a lot of times my mom would be laying in bed. She could feel the bed shaking and somebody punching it from the bottom.
Right.
A white light would shoot down the hallway. There's so many things. I can't list them all because there's just the scales off the charts. There's things being moved. It didn't like my father. I mean, it was just so many things, and I never pinpointed it. And finally, we ended up getting a medium out to the house. And now this has gone on for years. I'm already married and, whatever. We ended up getting a medium to the house because things were happening after I had moved out.
Right.
That was scaring my mom really bad. They even wrote a letter and put it on the refrigerator for the previous owner's dead husband. Hey, Margie doesn't live here anymore. She's moved to this certain address. That's how scared our household was. My dad was anyway. And they put a letter on the refrigerator thinking it was him looking for her. No, it wasn't. We had a medium come out to the house, and she came straight to my bedroom. She knew exactly where it felt the strongest, and she said, "You have an underground stream underneath your house."
Yeah.
And she sat down and I guess channeled this entity. And I'm trying not to cry now. But I don't. If you can see from the photo, I have long black hair, and I was much skinnier than I am now. But I have long black hair, and you have to understand, my hair was to past my waistline. And Florida is known for Indians, and I had an underground stream near my house. Well, she channeled this entity, and he told her it was an Indian brave. It was a young Indian brave that had been shot in the back. He did not know he was dead. And he stood by the water because he knew, and also stayed by my side because he knew or he thought that I was Indian and I needed to heal him. He did not know, so he watched over me. And she went to send him to the light, and he tried to. This lasted for a while, and as she was sending him to the light, I didn't know what was coming over me. I was leaning on the door jamb of my bedroom, and as soon as she was explaining it to him, telling him he had passed, and he said, "I'm staying with her. I want to protect her." And she said, "No, you can go now. Your family's waiting for you." And as soon as she started saying that, I could feel him pulling away, and I hit the ground. And I felt weak, and I couldn't stand, and I blacked out. I don't remember a lot after that.
Yeah.
But, he was the one that was protecting that house, and I also know that there were some dark entities in that home as well, but he was the one that was protecting me. See, this is why I didn't want to say this story, because it's so emotional to me.
I know, baby.
That he protected me for years. He did his best. He tried really hard to protect me. So, and I'm going to watch this show, and I'm going to throw up because I started crying on your show.
Well,
Okay,
that's a first. See, you're the first guest to cry on my show. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's something, right?
Oh, shut up.
But no, I mean, and me knowing my wife, folks, I mean, she is a very genuine person. She really went through a lot of paranormal things in her life, and just a lot of things in general. I mean, for sure, hopefully one day we'll get to write the book. We talk about it, and I tell my wife, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And
I know.
so we're gonna look at doing that, hopefully someday here. But she's got
Maybe
a
I
lot of
will.
definitely interesting stories to tell. So obviously the paranormal experiences you had were very hit very home. Some people just experience things and maybe are scared and things. I mean, this is something that was interwoven into your life, and sometimes again, just a major part of your life. So
Well, she tried, she tried to explain it to me as if it made sense because he was by the water, and the women were always by the water, by this underground stream. And obviously, from what I've understood through the research, that paranormal is very, very strong around water sources. So, and I had an underground stream running right underneath my bedroom. We pulled up the property and the history on the place and everything. And yeah, definitely, as she was explaining to him, he was saying, "I don't want to leave her. I don't." Well, she was speaking really strange because she had his voice coming through her, and all she kept doing was grabbing her shoulder and her back, saying, "I hurt in my back."
Right.
So he was shot. And see, back in the day, or when the Indians were there, I don't even know. She said they didn't shoot in the back. I don't know if that's true or not. Anybody can correct me in the comments. I don't know. But he didn't know he was dead, and he was, from what I understand, she said he was a teenager. So.
Young. Mm-hmm. Young tragic death there.
So I believe he was the speed behind my feet to make me run as fast as I did.
Yeah, I mean, that could make sense. It really could. I mean, and I hear a lot. I've heard obviously a lot of your stories.
Yeah, shut up.
But I mean, it's something that I've always found fascinating about the stories that you had with the Indian Brave and the different parts that how he was again interwoven in your life and things like that. So I always thought that was amazing. So I guess fast forward into the times when, obviously when you and I met, we had never really talked about paranormal right away,
Right.
But then it became a thing. And then we started, the first thing you and I did was obviously just start running out and doing our own investigations, just wherever,
Right.
doing those things. And it really wasn't until we met Dusty Smith with Daytona Beach Paranormal when she introduced us to She was the connection to the Ghost Hunter show, Taps.
She was so cool. God rest her soul. She was such a cool lady. It was so neat meeting her. And the first thing she wanted to tell us, I was on an episode of Haunted. I was on an episode of Haunted. You got to see it. I'll sign you a DVD. And she signed us a DVD copy of the episode that she was in. And she had passed away after, like we said, we researched her, tried to touch base again, and come to find out she had passed away.
Yeah,
normal. That's just awful.
I know that's definitely tragic, and that, but it was through her that we had started getting our first cases from Taps from Ghost Hunters and the Ghost Hunter show. So I think that was really cool. I do, and then we had to sort of step up and be more professional,
Right.
And then that's when we started collecting evidence and having a team and all that stuff. And so, again, one of the things as we get eventually, like I said, we're going to get into a few of these recordings. So I'm not even sure where some of these are from anymore. I know where a couple of them are from. And then, ultimately what we're going to get to is one of our favorites. And really... Well, we'll talk about that later. Because I really do have something I want to say about that.
Yeah. I've actually got the headphones on, so I'll be able to hear it really close.
Right, and if you guys are in the in the chat, pop in there, say hi. If you have questions for us, again, it's not often we get the one and only VIXIE on the show, Terry Lynn, aka VIXIE. That's what she went by. We always that was just a cool name we always went by with her, was VIXIE. It was cute. So I give her a hard time. I call her VIXIE all the time because I love her. But Terry Lynn is her name if you all, want to say anything to her, or you just call her VIXIE. And also, folks, I just wanted to make sure I explained my hair. So
your hair looks good. I don't know what your problem is with your hair. Even though we're under quarantine, I think it looks pretty darn good.
Right. But I'm trying to get you to cut it, so. So hopefully, I like having the shorter hair. This is driving me crazy, and it's falling down all the time, and I got side hair. And...
Here we go. Now they're going to hear our married life. Let's go.
Right? But yeah. Let's go ahead.
Leave the hair alone. I'm looking at you on the live feed up there. I guess there's a delay, so that's all right.
I know. That's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and maybe let's try to play one of these and see what happens.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so I'm not going to say what they say, but I'm just going to try to see if I have any backstories. Now, this first one, I will say... I don't think we ever settled on what we thought it said, because generally what we thought it would say, I would try to label the files that way so we could remember. But I still always tried to go back with an open ear and listen to them. But on this one, I think this was like an inconclusive one. So if you folks hear anything, whatever, just but let's go ahead and play it, and let's see what you guys think.
Okay.
All right, could you all hear that?
No, I couldn't hear anything.
I know it might be a little tough. Let me just let me double check my volumes to make sure. Yeah, my volumes.
I don't hear anything. I just hear absolute silence.
This is one of those ones that you really have to have probably headphones, and you probably have to have this thing super cranked up on this particular one, which I don't think we're going to be able to crank up anymore on this. All right, let me try one more time. Anything? No? Okay.
I don't even hear static. I hear nothing.
All right. Well, let's try this one. This one's definitely like this one here. All I can say is it sounds like 2 syllables. Okay? Doesn't sound like 2 words, but it sounds like 2 syllables. That's all I can say. And I'll let you guys listen to this one. I got my desktop in the background now. All right. All right. Did you hear it?
No, I don't hear anything. I'm wondering if it's because we're on Skype that I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, I wonder if that might be why we're not hearing on Skype.
Yeah, because I can't hear not even a file played or nothing.
Okay.
It's just silence.
All right. Well, what we may have to do, we may have to end the Skype call with you.
Of course, see?
And then you'll have to listen to them. We'll have to go through all the clips. It just sucks because I don't get feedback from you on some of these. But we could probably end the call. We could try to do the clips, and you can kind of text me, let me know if you're hearing them on like after the Skype call, and then maybe we'll get you back on. We'll Skype you back up, and then that way.
That means I have to turn up the volume in the living room so I can hear because I have it all the way off.
Well, you got the headphones.
I'm just kind of curious if anybody can hear it at all being played on the air.
Well, that's why I don't think that's what's happening. So I think what we're probably going to do, like I said, if you in the Skype call, you'll have to pull up the live stream.
It's already up.
And have it on your headphones, and then right, you'll have to pull up the live stream on your laptop, and that way you can listen to them through your headphones when I do play them.
He's kicking me off the show already, guys.
I know, sorry, honey.
I knew it.
But we'll get you back on right after we're gonna run through all the EVPs.
Oh God! All right, bye.
All right. Love you, bye. Okay. Now they got her off the air. I'm just kidding. All right, so hopefully let's try this again. Let's see if you guys hear this first one again. All right. Actually, I'm going to give my wife a second to get situated. Let's make sure she's good to go. All right. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm actually going to bring my son. We got our son here. He's also going to be a little bit of a special guest. So while my wife's not on, we'll bring my son over here. He's kind of been hanging out, and we'll get his opinion on some of these EVPs. So I'll go ahead and crank him up here in the studio, and we'll get him. So if you guys want to meet Christian, a.k.a. Jacked Gaming. So if you all want to check out his, YouTube channel, it's Jacked Gaming. JACT Gaming.
Yes.
Awesome. So, you ready to check out some EVPs?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So, let's go to this first one. So did you hear something that time?
I heard something, but it's kind of like it's hard to make out. But you can
let's try it
hear
again.
something. You know it's there though. That's the thing. I know there's something there though.
Right. That's why we're unsure on this one. So let's try this again. We'll hit play again. All right.
I'm not sure. It's very hard to make out that one. It's like it's saying something. There's something there.
Okay.
But it's hard to make out that one.
All right. So let's move on to this one, to the next one. This is the 2 syllables.
That was more clear, but it's still of a like that almost. You know, it's too something.
Okay, listen. The last syllable to me sounds like an E sound.
Yeah.
Like maybe a terry or something re. E. Let's try it one more time.
In my opinion, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but like on the first part, I could hear like a huh noise, like it was huh, not like that's kind of, I'm not sure. Like have, like it's
Harry.
It sounds like it says have it or something. I'm not sure. Like have it. In my opinion, that's what I hear. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. You know that. I mean, it's good to hear. That's why I brought you on with your young ears.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this one that's like possibly this one here. This EVP potentially is like 2 words. Okay, so again, possibly 2 words. It doesn't sound like 2 syllables. It actually sounds like 2 separate words. So take a look and see what you think. All right. So the first one sounded like hey. That's what Al James said. Terry Lynn said it sounded like Terry.
I got that H like part though, right?
Right. Maybe a huh.
Probably.
All right. So let's look at this one here. This one is potentially 2 words.
I heard help me. In my opinion, that sounded like help me.
All right. Let's play it again. Hold on. I'll play it a few times.
That sounds like. It almost
Okay.
sounds like a female voice saying help me, like that. But it's sort of muffled, but I think it's help me. That's what it sounds like. Is help me. In a female voice.
It's possible. It's very whispery. Guys, just to let you know, this is a section of audio that I saved. And as far as enhancement goes, back then I used to have a music studio program. And it was called Voyetra. And I think I just would isolate it. And I would boost it up a little bit, and I think you could try to clear up a little bit of the white noise. So that's about the only things that's been done to the clip. So I'm gonna play it one more time. I'll play it 2 more times in a row, so you guys get a good chance to hear it. Here we go. Ready? Yeah, and Al James said that. That he's thinking maybe it says help them. That could be. You know, I can't remember the exact circumstances when that particular EVP, again, guys, we're talking 13 years ago. This is lost, recovered, recordings. So a couple of these, we can't always remember exactly where these came from. But I can tell you that... again, it does maybe sound like help them. That we could have had more than one spirits in that particular investigation. Who knows? All right, so let's move on. We went through a couple there. Now this is a separate EVP, and this is also one that is 2 syllables. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it is. All right, it was kind of quick. Did you catch it?
It's something bleh, bleh.
Well, duh.
It's bleh.
Blah, blah. It's blah, blah.
Bleh, bleh. Bleh.
It's blah, blah. So, now, again, to me, there's a very distinct Again, like almost like a T at that second syllable. Something T maybe. Hat T, Dad T, I don't know. I'm just throwing some things out there, but what do you guys think? Again, let me play it a couple more times in a row so you guys get a chance to hear it again.
Now I think that you can hear like a T at the end.
Terry Lynn said it sounds like a bad word. Laugh out loud.
I don't want to know.
You don't mean like a name, do you? Are you talking about a bad name? Because if that's what you're thinking.
I'm kidding.
Where are you going? All right, so Al, do you have any input on that? Do I need to play it again a couple times?
Something T.
Hold on. Let's loop it for a quick second. Mommy said plug your ears.
Okay.
I don't know. What are we plugging our ears for? What does it sound like?
Delay.
I'm trying to think of bad words. All right. Any other input before we move on to the next one? No clue. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, some of these, that's why we never label them. So let's move on to this one.
Oh, I get what she's, yeah.
Oh, you're saying you can even hear the, okay.
Yep. No.
I don't know. I don't hear any. I don't hear any itch in there at all. But that's just me.
Maybe itchy. Maybe he has an itchy leg.
Al said, "Beat it." I don't know.
Maybe
that's tough.
Maybe
All right.
Have an itchy arm, you know?
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so that's a little loud, guys. If you have your stuff turned up, I should have warned you. I forgot about this one.
Headphone, like F in the chat for the headphone users.
Headphone users, beware.
R.I.P. for the headphone users. Sorry. They're like, well.
Okay, so real quick, I do know the story on this one. This was at St. Augustine Lighthouse, folks. This was at the infamous St. Augustine Lighthouse. This was right after Taps was there. We went there, and this was actually out in the parking lot. And the Florida rain started hitting after the ghost tour, and we started doing. It was hitting the roof really bad. It was hitting the roof really bad, and I think. So it's causing, that's what you hear, is just rain pelting the metal roof of a truck. And I think my wife, out of frustration, was just like, because we didn't really get hardly anything during our investigation. And sounds like me falling down the steps. Right? So, but this was, now you can hear the whisper, you can hear, and I'm just going to tell you that for me, I hear 4 words. And I kind of already know what I think they say, but I'm trying to let you guys, and I'll play it a couple times. So, again, heads up. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Slightly. It's very hard.
Now, that's probably going to be tough for some of you to hear, but I can tell you, I listened to this multiple times, and I want to say that I did clean it up a little bit more, but I think this is the only recording that survived. Guys, this is the little bit of recordings from a long time ago that survived. We lost a tremendous amount of evidence that was all on a few backup CDs. So, yeah. Any other clues? Do I need to play it a few more times? You guys want to?
I have no clue.
Get me out of here.
I have no clue. It just sounds like.
That's not even Terry Lynn's guess. That's just her telling people, just get me out of here.
It's like, please leave. Just please let me leave. That's her right now.
Let's see. All right, I'll play it. I'm going to play it a couple more times. Here's the heads up. 3, 2, 1. Did you guys hear it that time? Okay.
Hear it.
All right. So let me tell you what I think. Honestly, after when I heard it, in fact, I labeled this one because back then I was listening to it and going through all my audio filters. What I heard is a whisper about halfway through the recording say, "Help me get out." So you hear it say, "Help me get out." All right. So I'm going to play it again and see if you guys hear it when we go through there. All right. So did you guys hear it that time?
I mean, I heard it more clearly now that I think of the words. I can hear it more clearly now.
Right. And hopefully I'm not influencing you, but in all honesty, that was something that it just took a while and multiple listening to. And then even now I try to listen to it new and I still hear the "help me get out." All right. So let's move on. And now this one here, I'm just going to let you know on this one here, my wife and I, we were living in this neighborhood back then. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Let me back up. My wife, the running joke with that "help me get out" is that even the ghosts didn't want to be at St. Augustine Lighthouse. Okay. That was kind of the running joke, was like we went there and it was kind of a joke. They were, the ghost hunting tour was kind of goofy. You could tell that after the television show had been there, they were really trying to cash in. So, but it was kind of funny. We just was not getting anything at all. And then we just go out to the truck at the end of the night. It starts raining. And again, my wife's just like, is there even any ghosts here? And then the fact that we get all the way back home, back to the Panhandle of Florida back then, after our trip, we went to Daytona, all this stuff. But after we finally get home, we review all of our evidence. That was the one EVP we got, was "help me get out." So, like I said, even the ghost, that's why Terry Lynn said even the ghost didn't want to stay there. So that was
ghost.
Right. So that was kind of our inside joke on there.
They had a blinky ghost.
They had a blinky ghost. Right. They even had a little blinky ghost on their thing. But anyways, all right. So this next one though, this is we're gonna switch gears. This is a little more serious. We were living in this neighborhood, and unfortunately, there was a teenager. He was like, 15 years old, I think, honey. His name was like Steve, and you'll hear me say his last name. I forget. Back then, I knew his name, but you'll hear me ask for him because he had committed suicide. He had lived around the corner from us. And of course, it was over a girl. It was over teenage love. And he committed suicide. It was very tragic, very sad, very unnecessary.
That declined. It was just like, okay, well, he just went, okay, this sounds like a okay story. Straight down the drain. Yeah,
because it's sad. It's tragic.
That is very sad.
Let that be a lesson to you as you enter. You don't ever... girls, no.
No, just
so, but in any case, he tragically took his life. So it was heartbreaking, and we had, I think, met him. My wife, she took it hard for a little bit, especially being a little sensitive. And so anyways, we had tried to reach out to him spiritually. So in this one, we asked there, and we did actually get a response, but I don't know if we knew exactly what he said. So I'm going to play it for you. Now, be warned, my voice is going to be kind of loud. And my voice is younger. But it's going to be a little loud, and then you'll hear some kind of response probably. So here we go.
Steve's roster. Are you here?
See?
I heard it.
Yeah, there's like a whispery something. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to loop it a few times for you guys. I'll put it on loop for a second.
Steve's roster. Are you here? Steve's roster. Are you here?
Sounds like
Steve's
I
roster. Are you here? Steve's roster. Are you here?
I hear a
Steve's
yeah.
roster.
That's what I hear. It's just a.
Are you here?
So there, I don't know what you guys think of it, but you definitely hear something whispery, and you can tell it's on a different level than when you hear me talk. So it's not us. In fact, we did that in our own home, trying to reach him because he was around the corner. And spirits sometimes they can travel. So we were in our home. It was very quiet, and we were trying to at least see if we could reach him or not.
I hear.
So you guys have any thoughts out there? Is there anybody still with us? Yeah. All right, Terry Lynn is. All right.
I hear yeah. That's what I hear is yeah.
All right, I'll play it one more time. Let's see.
Steve's roster. Are you here?
Okay, so let's move on. Now in this one, this is still part of the same EVP session when we were talking to Steve, I believe. It may not be. I think it was. But it's actually pretty long and drawn out. I'll let you guys listen, but there's definitely multiple words. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Why did you do this?
All right. So Christian says, "Why did you do this?" All right, I'm gonna put it on repeat, and we're gonna listen a few more times. All right, so there you go. There's a few different times. Hopefully you got a good chance to hear it, and of course the cough in there. Sorry about that.
It's just whoa.
I actually smoked back then. That was horrible.
Oh.
And of course Terry Lynn, she also said, "Why did you do this?" Christian said, "Why did you do this?" And again, that's what we all feel like we heard is, "Why did you do this?"
Yeah,
it kind of
this was
drawn out a little bit, a little creepy, but
like that.
right. So I don't know if I would necessarily classify that as a class A, but it's still pretty good. Now, let's see. I don't know. Let me see what this one is. All right. I don't know if this is going to be loud or not, so just be prepared just in case. Okay, never mind. That's actually the longer version of the. That's actually the long version of the truck. With a help me get out. All right, so here is the last few EVPs of the evening, and what I want to say about this, and then we're going to try to get we'll try to get VIXIE back on the show so she can put her input into this too. But okay, so here's the significance of this clip. This is one of our favorite. Well, I not so much this, but this first clip. I mean, there's really two major clips, and so there's really two major clips. Okay, and the first one is an EVP that was captured in a conversation, and then in a separate recording before that actually was the one that is like our favorite. Okay, so I know it sounds weird, but you're going to hear a similarity because it's like a child's voice, and we catch it twice, believe it or not. So this first time, and I don't even know if Terry Lynn remembered this. So, honey, I don't think you even remember. I think you were just thinking of the one clip. But we actually have a separate time that it's another. It's the same child voice, and they're saying pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to play that first, so you guys can hear that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to play that first. You ready? All right, so I'm gonna hit repeat. I'm gonna let you guys hear it, and you can hear the child's voice. You hear the scuffling. You hear was back when we actually had a small dog back then, and she was in her crate. But you can hear the child's voice. So I'm gonna let it replay a few times.
That's all I hear is like, we love your, and then I can't hear anything after that. It's like, we love your something.
Okay.
Dog?
All right, so.
Maybe the ghost likes your dog.
Okay, so that was, now, keep in mind, that we actually caught that later, but now I'm getting ready to play for you the very, very first EVP. And I'm glad that we still have this. This is something we recovered. So I'm really, really proud that we were able to capture this or to keep this evidence. And the reason why that we hold this so dear is because it's our first one. And what I mean by that is, like, before we got an audio recorder, before all that, you know, when we were younger, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, young adult, Terry Lynn, when she was younger, all these things, you know, in our worlds, we didn't have the equipment to go and capture stuff. Maybe pictures, maybe video cameras and stuff, but nothing major really to truly investigate. And when we got together and we started doing and for the very first time we went out and bought equipment, we're like, okay, we're going to start, you know, investigating together. We're going to start doing this, you know, because we had both had experience with just research and learning things over the years. So when our very first time, and I'm just going to explain this briefly, we had some people that was curious. They had heard that we were getting in the investigations. So they came over, and Terry Lynn and I went around I went around and turned everything off in the house. I'm talking like everything, you know. I turned the power off to the fridge, everything. Like, there's the fans. There was nothing in that house really that had power other than the audio recorder. It was like our very first time. And for me, this is when I was on the fence. This is when I was like, even though if you guys read my book, I talk about other paranormal experiences growing up and things like that. But in the back of my mind, I always was thinking, you know, maybe it could be in my head. Maybe it was just me, you know. So I was always kind of on the fence. So for me, when we broke out the recorder and we were trying to show these people, so we hit record And I think it was kind of like a candid thing. It was only like 30 seconds long, and it was kind of like the dog was kind of moving around, and we just wasn't quite fully set to do an EVP session like we thought we was. So we stopped it, gathered ourselves back up, started a new file, like hit record again, and we did an EVP session. That's when we got the one you just heard during that EVP session. But when I went back after I downloaded everything and I had that little 30-second screw-up clip, that's actually when I heard it. The very first EVP that I ever heard from my own ears. The first actual EVP that we caught.
Yeah.
And hearing this, to me, is what swayed me from the fence. And I'm going to tell you this. You hear the child's voice again, saying about exactly what you heard in the other one, but then you hear a little bit of a scuffle, and then you're going to hear a man yell at the top of his lungs. Yeah. We don't know what he says. So again, you guys can always be the judge of it. But we almost consider this a Class A almost just because of how clear, or that you definitely know it's a child, and you definitely hear this man yell at the top of his voice, even though in real life, again, perfectly quiet. People were all trying to be quiet, and we were, you know what I mean? And so when we went back and you hear this for the first time, it blows your mind. You're like, oh my God. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew we captured something paranormal, because again, I had controlled the environment. We had everything in the house turned off. Again, I controlled the environment. I knew it was quiet, and I didn't think we even caught anything. And then when I went back and hit play, this is what I heard. Well, this is the section of what I heard.
Phone warning, maybe, or no?
I don't know.
Scared.
And no one was talking.
Sounds like a Wookiee. Just Chewbacca going.
And then there's my son who just takes it all away.
I'm
all right.
sorry. He just.
Anyways, all right. I'm
Funny
gonna loop this a few times so you guys can listen. So there you go. There you have it. That was the very first EVP that I caught, my wife caught, that we caught, that actually, to me, started tipping me into the believe side. Because, again, we controlled the environment. We knew there was nothing going on. Nobody yelled. There was no kids in the house. He wasn't even born yet. So... Now, what do I think it says? Now that you guys have listened to it for a while, I still to this day think that the child's voice is saying, "We love this. We love this." And then you hear the scuffle, and then it almost like the guy is yelling spirits. Like, spirits! I don't know. But it, again, I never get tired of hearing it, because again, it was our very first one, and we haven't heard it in a long time because we thought it was lost. We thought we had lost all evidence of our existence. But digging up some of these EVPs, it was nice to actually find some evidence of our past and go, oh my God, here's some of our recordings still. It was like on another CD that wasn't even like a evidence backup. It was just like part of a backup for a computer file. And I was like hoping I'd find more cases with like photos and some of our other stuff, but unfortunately no, all I found was these EVPs here. So well, I don't know where the effing would come in at.
I don't really hear that. I don't really hear anything except for just like a yell. I don't really hear like a specific word.
I feel like whatever he's yelling seems to have a P, but like spirits, it just has that P, like spirits. I don't know. It's really weird, but again, I don't know. I still think the child's voice is saying we love this. And even in the first time, it sounds like we love this, and then the next time they're like, but actually this comes before that other one. It's almost like they repeated, and I'm going to play this one again real quick. So you can see that you can hear the difference between this, but it's very similar. And actually, I don't know if you guys just caught this. Did you hear it?
What?
Now that I hear this again, on that time when it says, we love this, or whatever, there's almost a whisper right at the very end.
Really?
Yeah, listen.
It was like a...
Yeah, it was almost like a breathy, like at the end. And it didn't sound like something from us. I mean, it sounded in the white noise.
It was kind of like a deep kind of breath, like a...
Right. So, anyways, and I think this might be a longer extended version of the clip, so let me just play that. So you see, that was, you can hear one of us say, yeah, Gidget's moving around, because that was the name of our little pug back then, and she was in her crate, and you know the sounds of a dog claws on the doggy tray on the crate. So we had her crated so we could do the EVP session, and that's what she was making all that noise. But again, when you... hey, Paranormal Circle. Glad you could join us. Like I said, we've been going over some EVPs, old lost EVPs. But again, if you listen to the full clip, again, you can see where we heard that. And again, at the time, we had just hit play or whatever, and it was just like Gidget, the dog, was just sitting there, you know, moving around and making a bunch of noise, and so we just thought it was a blooper clip, so to speak. You know, we just kind of was like, let's we get her kind of situated a little bit, like get her calmed down, and then we started over again. But again, upon review, because I wanted to review everything, that's when we heard for the very first time. You could hear her moving around. And in all honesty, when you heard that child's voice for the first time, when I heard it, and Terry Lynn was sitting on the computer next to me, because she had a computer, and I think she was doing her thing, and I was reviewing evidence. I had it cranked up in the speakers, like super loud. And when we both heard that child's voice, we just turned and looked at each other like, oh my God. And the hairs, and that guy, when he yelled, we're like, oh my God, like what? It was hair raising, goosebumps, chills, all of that stuff. You know, and on a whole nother level. Then when you first hear it, it's just a whole nother level. Now, like right now, again, it still gives me chills because again, we are hearing it for that first time back then, and it was like, what? And man, I don't know how many times we actually listened to it, and then of course I finished listening to the evidence, and then we got the other stuff. We love this and everything, and then I think that right there alone kicked off our passion to start again, to start a team and just to start going out. And it was just like, oh my God. And we were almost like instantly hooked. So let me see if I can get Terry Lynn on here. Terry Lynn, you better get ready. I'm getting ready to Skype you. So I'm going to try to get Terry Lynn on here, and let's see if we can get her. So that way maybe, she can weigh in on those things. Let me close this down too. And, never mind. Wow. Talk about Hey, what the heck? Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, let me in.
There we go. All right.
I got things to say. My opinion is, I don't think that's a child. Now that I hear it again, that still does not sound like a child to me.
Right.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, it sounds like a teenager. I'm not okay. I guess that is a child, but it doesn't sound like a young child. Hi, Christian.
Hi.
Did you hang up on me?
No.
We're still here.
No. I'm trying to calm our son down. He's being goofy. All right. So.
I'm just a bit excited because that was kind of cool.
All right. I know.
I still don't know what it says. I really wish somebody would say something to tell us what that says to them, because that's still, I mean, people don't understand. Okay, I'm going to explain it. Josh tried to explain it, but I'm going to explain it my way. We were all four. There was four of us. We were all sitting in our office on the floor. There was nobody talking at all. Nothing. The power was off. Nobody was talking. We had our little digital recorder and nobody was talking at all. And for a voice to even come that loud and not hear it with our own ears, there was nothing. It was, and when we played that back and heard that, whoo, Betty, let me tell you what. That gave me the chills like you do not even know.
Well, yeah. And I think for me, it just confirmed the fact that, yes, paranormal is not just in my head. It's a real thing, you know. It just solidified things for me a little more.
Right. That's what I was saying. I don't know what that was. I don't. But I do know one thing, and I will say one thing. Whatever it was not happy. They were not happy. And like I said, it sounds like he's saying effing spirits, but I'm not going to say the word because, you know.
I still think that there was two separate entities there. I definitely think that whatever
I heard you love this.
Whatever
we love this.
Right.
I hear we love. It was like a we love this.
Right.
Yes.
Like it wasn't like a.
Don't yell, Christian.
It wasn't like deep. It was kind of like a really kind of like higher pitched. I guess it was like a. We love this.
Yeah, and it sounded like that old man just got mad, whoever he was. And now you got to understand, the place that we lived at was right by, well, it's by water. We lived by Turkey Creek. And it's called Turkey Creek. And back then, there was a lot of Indians around that area. This is the Seminole Indians, where we lived. We lived in the Panhandle, Florida.
Right.
So, and they put this housing development right next to this creek. So, of course, it's going to have some activity. And then with, God rest his soul, little Steven, he was a teenager. He had done what he had done. But, that I don't know what that was. It just sounded like a very upset old man going, effing spirits.
Right.
That's just me. Like he's just tired of hearing the spirits talk. I don't know.
Right. Well, regardless of what it is, I think for me, just knowing that you could clearly hear like a male yelling that very loud, like, it would have to be almost like at the top of your lungs, spirits, and for somebody to yell that in our house and for us to only be to hear dead silence other than Gidget moving around in her crate.
Lord, yes.
But then when we go back and hear that, it's like, oh my God, there's proof that there is voices, that there is people beyond the realm there. So again,
hence the reason why we moved out shortly after. Once we found out I was pregnant with my son, when we found out I was pregnant with our son, the little guy that's sitting right there in front of y'all's face, we had stopped doing the paranormal investigations because I didn't want anything attaching to me or him and being around him. Because I'll tell you something else. While we were living there at this address, there was a lot of times that I would lay on the couch and every once in a while I'd see a little being, a little spirit, just rush down the hallway. And we didn't even really have a hallway if you think about it, Josh.
No.
It came from our living room and would just pass right by into to that little causeway there where the bathroom and the 2 bedrooms were, the office, and that's the spare guest room. And I would see it just pass right there every once in a while. Every once in a while, as a little boy, and I'd catch him out of the corner of my eye. So, yeah, we moved out of that address.
Well, I mean,
too much later on, we moved out.
Right. I mean, and we did stay there during our investigation time frames and stuff. And again, but once you got pregnant, and like I said, we did investigations and all that stuff while we were there. And then, like I said, when you got pregnant and we knew it was high risk, that's when we had to start moving away from doing investigations. And we didn't have to. I mean, there's people out there that's, I'm sure you're going to have your paranormal teams that are like, oh, well, we were high risk and we kept investigating and all this other stuff.
No,
but
really.
We just didn't want to take any chances. I mean, this was, and technically till this day, is still our last child in life.
Yeah.
So
I had him. I was a high risk pregnancy. I had that little guy right there that's sitting behind you at 40 years of age. So surprise. And I didn't want to take a chance on anything happening to him or anything happening with my pregnant, anything.
Thank you, Mom.
So you're welcome. So behave.
Right. But so I'm really glad you got to come back on to your input, and I know that
I got a lot of things to say though.
Some
but
of
go
those,
ahead.
Well, we only have a little bit more show left, but
whatever.
We're
Big
out.
show.
No, honey, I know. Just for you, it don't matter, right? But no, I mean, I know, like when we went through the different clips, we had some of the 2-syllable, the 2 words, and Steven, why did you do this? That was always creepy when we heard that. I know that was kind of one of our first creepy ones where we're like, why did you do this?
Do you even remember? I'm going to put you on the spot now, Josh. Do you remember why we even got into paranormal investigations? What sparked the whole thing of going to get the tape recorder and all that? Do you remember?
Fatal Frame?
Nope, wrong. I'll rewind you even further.
You said that once.
No, I'll rewind you even further. We're going to go all the way back to this certain movie called White Noise.
Oh.
That's
White
where it
Noise.
all started. We had no idea. Me and you watched that movie, and the hairs rose up on the back of our necks, and that's when I finally just came out and told you everything about the things that happened to me as a child, and we went out.
Well, see, and that's the funny thing is that sometimes, like, I had done stuff involving paranormal and read about it and researched it, up to that point, but you and I just never really talked about it.
And I lived in a haunted house, so I didn't really like to talk about my past about that part either. Because I figured that somebody's going to think I'm crazy.
Right.
I mean, we were still kind of new in our relationship. Were we married yet?
Well, we did get. Well, I mean, we ended up getting married in that house, or while we were living there.
Right.
But no, because we were doing Ouija board sessions at the apartment, so it had to have been.
No.
I know.
You guys are insane.
So no, it wasn't the movie. The movie is what.
It was the movie.
No, the movie. Listen, the movie is what kicked off. Like, let's go ahead and start doing EVPs and start doing investigations. But before all of that, we did end up talking about the paranormal, and you told me about Ouija board stuff, and we ended up starting doing some of that because of the spirit we were having at that apartment.
Oh my god.
The Turkey
Oh
Creek
my
apartment.
gosh.
Now remember,
Oh my
folks, the house.
No, I get to tell this.
No, I know, but listen, the house that we were talking about, where Terrellin said that was by church. Well, the house we lived at right before that was an apartment, and it was on the other side of that creek.
And it was right on the creek. I mean, right there in our backyard was the creek that ran through. And I must tell you a story. We had an upstairs apartment. Now, I'm a sensitive. I don't know if Josh is told. Everybody probably have. But I'm a sensitive. I can sense spirits. I don't see them because I try not to see them. I can feel them. And this is upstairs at the apartment, and I'll always hear, Christian, what in the world are you doing in the background? Anyways, I would always hear sounds right outside our bedroom door. Now, all the time, rattling the doorknob, messing with the air conditioner right there, rattling the doorknob, to where I would have to close and lock the door at night and have our TV on every night just so I didn't hear it. It was so unbelievable. You remember, Josh?
Yeah,
It was so,
and it was literally, it was, imagine laying in bed and
watching the doorknob
and locking the door, okay, folks, and imagine somebody, like, you can hear the door handle like they're trying to open the door. That's what it's like. You can hear the door rattling. You can see it kind of trying to move. You know how like the door kind of moves a little even though it's locked, the handle and everything.
Yes.
So there was many a times that, or quite a few different times when Terry Lynn would be like, "All right," it would get really bad to where Terry Lynn's like, "Okay, Josh, you're gonna have to open. You're gonna have to check." There was some of those times it was like I had to go over, gussy up the strength, and like pop the lock and open up the door, and there was never anybody there.
Do you always remember whenever you opened that door how cold it was? The air that would come in that as soon as you open the door. I'm not talking about just from you flinging the door, but I'm talking about how cold it was.
Right. Oh yeah, that blast of air when you open the door and that cold spot right there where that entity was trying to get in the door, and I knew, and it didn't help that we started doing the spirit board sessions, and again, and this is back when it's like
Fatal Frame.
We were just really just going out, and doing whatever, and we didn't really try to discipline ourselves. We didn't try to didn't think about the rules. It's like we had researched and known a lot of stuff independently up to that point, but we just didn't fully, I said, you learn as you go sometimes with certain things. And then sometimes you run into people like, what are you doing? That's wrong or whatever. Or you research things because it wasn't always like nowadays you just run right to Google, back then, even though yes, there was internet, you didn't always have that quick research availability. People just didn't do that.
What I wouldn't give, I'm telling you now, to go back to my old house, my childhood home on that street, and wish that I knew now. Of course, people would always say that. If I knew now what I knew then, whatever. If I knew what I know now, how I would have loved to have. I had a tape recorder. I never thought to sit there and let it record. I mean, we live in a technology era now with cell phones and recorders and cameras that aren't the size of a suitcase.
Right.
Sorry, but in the 80s, guys, I don't know if y'all know this, but in the 80s, we didn't have little cell phones. No. We had big old camcorders that were about the size of a suitcase you wear over your shoulder. So we didn't have the luxury of having little compact things. But I would have loved to have been able to record some audio from my old home. Now, since I have moved from there and the house is no longer in our family, I've noticed also, I wanted to add this, that every time somebody buys that house, and I haven't reached out to these people. What are y'all doing? What is that? I'm watching you. You know that, right?
What?
You're doing something with your arms, your hair. What are you doing?
See, that's what happens when you watch a delay, honey.
Okay. Anyway,
because you were back then, you were talking about camcorders, and I was demonstrating as you were talking about.
God. Okay. Well, whatever. Anyway.
Wow.
Good Lord. I was like, okay.
Delay.
And
you just now put your ghost hunter's hat or your ghostbusters hat on. But see, now I done lost what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, since the home's no longer in our family, it has since been sold, I think, twice. And the people that have owned it, I think the one lady only lived there a year and moved out.
Yeah, it's been sitting vacant.
And then another person bought it.
Renovated.
they renovate now. Listen, anybody knows about paranormal? If you renovate a home, and it's going to stir up. And that house is already stirred up. I'm not even gonna lie, but since it's been renovated, and they totally changed it completely, 180 out. Oh yeah, I guarantee you that it's going to be active big time, because the trauma that was in that home from my childhood is very palpable as soon as you walk in the door. So. And I don't care how many coats of paint you put on that house, it'll always be that house.
Right.
That you am telling you. And I would love now, if there's maybe one day we'll go to the house and knock on the door and say, hey, do you mind? If we could do an investigation, I don't know. Because the spirits that are in there, I would have loved to have a DVD or a video recorder or a video camera, because the things I would have been able to catch.
Hey, we'll just do the YouTube thing. We'll be like, hey, if you guys can get this video up to 50,000 likes, we'll go down to Florida.
I'll tell you what. I'll throw it out there. You guys get me up to 50,000 likes. I will find a way to get our butts from Tennessee down to Florida. I will have the guts to knock on the door.
We'll break into the house.
Just break it, sledgehammer, and just go.
We'll just break into the house for 50,000.
Okay, yeah.
I'm selling my. I'm just kidding.
Breach charge.
50,000 like we're not gonna.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna need the money. We're gonna need the money to bail Josh out of jail,
right.
because I'm not gonna do it.
FBI, open up.
I need 5. I'm happy with 5 likes, guys, but we can't. Well, we got 3.
You got 4. You got 4. But
4.
what I'm saying is, no, I'm not on my screen. But what I'm saying is, if you guys get this up to 50,000 likes, I'll find a way to get us back down to Florida. I will knock on that door. I will say, excuse me, I used to live here. Can I please do an investigation? No, you know what? I'll probably just ask them. So, how's things going?
Right.
Have you noticed anything? You know, I guarantee you. And the thing that's crazy that I noticed is, after the house foreclosed on, my father had lost the home, whatever. After the house got sold and everything, I noticed the lady that bought it, her name was also Terry.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's crazy. But she no longer lives there. She sold it in a year.
Right. Well, who knows? I mean, and that, like, little weird things like that's always kind of crazy, you know, for sure.
Terry's not a very common name. It's
No.
not for females anyway.
No. I mean, that's why I think even that one EVP, I think it might have said Terry, because you were kind of also going by Terry too at times. That there is a lot of people that call you Terry.
Yes.
But then again, who knows? Maybe the ghost was trying to say that their name was Terry or something, or Harry or whatever.
Harry. My name's Harry.
Well, you know, some of those names were popular back then.
Christian, look up. You're looking. Never mind. Anyways, all right. So ask me my question that you ask everybody else.
Okay, so I ask all the guests this, and so I'll go ahead and ask you too. But if you could pick one moment in time, like one day, that you could travel back as a ghost, like in other words, you can't interact. You're only just there. You're invisible, observant. So one day in the past, when would it be and why?
I've got 3 of them though.
Oh, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
You'll have to come on the show 2 more times then.
Okay. All right. Well, my first one would be.
Only list one.
That's not fair.
It is fair.
Okay. My first one, and I haven't heard anybody say this to you on your show, but I would love to have been there. And in the spirit of Easter, I would love to have been there when Jesus walked out of the tomb.
Okay.
Wow.
I would love to have been there to see that when they rolled away the stone and he had risen. That's one. That's one. And you know what? I'm going to say it because I can. I can do what I want.
What?
But I would also like to see the birth of Christ. I would love to see the birth of Jesus. And one more. I would have loved to have been there the day my mother saw her mother sit on that bed. And you know what I'm talking about, Josh.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, those are definitely very personal. And, of course, you know, I think
But rolling away of the stone, can you imagine being there during that? Everybody seeing that when they rolled away the stone?
Well,
And Jesus.
I think if you had to pick one day during Jesus's life, that could be definitely one good day, for sure. Because
Yeah, when they rolled away the stone, they went inside. There was nobody there. And then he showed up later on like, hey. No, he didn't say, hey, what's up?
Like, hey, what's up? I'm here. Yo, I'm Jesus.
we're gonna go to hell for this part. Stop.
I know,
Like,
stop.
I'm Jesus.
Better
you
be
forgot me?
respectful.
Christian, Easter is in 2 days.
I know.
Right.
Wait, it's in 2 days?
Yeah.
Yes, happy Easter. And that's not
Right.
about Easter eggs either.
Well, I do think that's a good day that you picked in the spirit of Easter for sure, since tomorrow is Good Friday. So on that note, I think that's awesome. And honey, you'll have to come back on the show soon.
Well, I want to tell everybody out there that if they're, I mean, we've got a whole 4 watchers, and I don't even know if any of them are us. But and
Just
if
all
they
of us.
aren't, somebody needs to say something in the comments because VIXIE doesn't come on very often. This is my first time. But I want to tell you guys on a personal note, please be safe out there. This COVID virus, COVID-19, this is not a joke, people. It's very dangerous. Watch over your loved ones. Wash your hands. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing that. Wash your hands. Stay safe, please, because the sooner that we can get through this, the sooner we'll be able to be out there and do things. And hey, there's ICU. Long time no see. It's me, Terry Lynn.
I see you.
I know. She's probably, maybe she can't make the earlier shows because this is like the later time frame that we used to do just now. So
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I ran your show into an hour and a half overtime. But I was just saying, I'm glad to see that she's here. I was kind of concerned about her, and I hope she's doing well. But just please be safe out there because this COVID virus is very dangerous. It just truly is. And I know we're all going crazy in our homes. In fact, I don't go anywhere. I stay home. God love Josh. He tries to go out there and get us food. Like it feels like he's going to get going on a supply run from The Walking Dead every time he goes out.
right.
So anyway, just please be safe out there, and we'll all get through this as soon as possible.
I know. I see you see me. She's like, oh yeah, hi. Oh my God, hi Terry. Yeah,
Hi,
she. I don't
honey.
think it took her a second to realize you were the guest on the show.
I'm the guest on this show. Now, I see you. You're going to have to rewind this show and watch it from the beginning because I definitely want to hear your take on these EVPs that we captured over 13 years ago.
Right.
Comment down
There's,
below.
and Lord knows we're long-winded. We like to explain things, but understand a lot of these EVPs, I know for a fact there was nobody talking because I was there.
Yeah, she said she's not used to the time change and that we changed your stream time. Yeah, I mean we definitely bumped it up to 10 o'clock. We're trying to actually do 9 o'clock.
Might be too early for people. You might want to do a poll on your page.
I don't
Josh.
know. We'll see. Well,
Popular?
I'm trying to. We'll just see.
Try and do a poll on
Trying
the
to keep
Paranormal
up.
Group page and see what time people would like to have it. If they would even like to have it on Fridays instead of Thursday nights, you know? Or
Well, we'll see. Yeah, because
you're open now.
yeah, we'll see. I know that we got a few different people that we're friends with that do stuff on Friday night. So I don't know. Saturday we might be able to do. I don't know. We'll just see, folks. I'm always open if you guys are watching these videos and you're like, hey man, I'd love to watch it live. I'd love to participate, but what about this time frame? You know, if you guys, if I could start getting some feedback from you guys. So you guys are awesome when it comes to like responding to things. If I put something out there, you like click like, you hit love. But when I ask you guys something, you just don't respond or give me feedback sometimes. So if you guys could give me some feedback and tell me maybe some good times on the Facebook page if you want, or folks, I've got Instagram. You can look me up on Instagram now. I've got
Heck, just message him through Facebook. You can message him right there in the Paranormal page. Let us know what time would be better for everybody else, and we'll weigh the averages and figure out what we need to do because we need to get these counts up because I would love to be able to talk to everybody and get better feedback than this. I want to be able to talk to people.
Now for
Where's
one
Bob
more
Fountain? Yeah,
one
where's
more
Bob
announcement. one more announcement too, and is that we talked about us going out into the field.
Oh my God, I know.
And
It's going
folks,
nuts.
we have secured a house
Yes.
in the middle of the woods, an abandoned house. It's been abandoned since the 70s. There has not been an investigation team in there for a few years.
And I'm sending you by yourself.
I don't know. I thought you said you were going to that one.
I'm going. I'm just
You're
teasing.
going.
So me and VIXIE there, we're going to be going to this house in the woods. Now we're trying to wait for a little more of this coronavirus to kind of pass, because
Right.
again, we do have to drive to a neighboring city to go to this. But we may look at doing a tunnel exploration. I've heard some things about that. And I actually have a few other potential things lined up, maybe even a haunted barn. So,
Oh my gosh, she says, weren't you going on a... Okay, I got a delay. You probably already answering this question.
Oh, well, the live stream tomorrow is I'm actually going to be on SRS Paranormal's Friday night. Their show they started doing.
Friday night powwow.
Yeah, it's like a Friday night. They're doing like a lot of Q&A. It's a Facebook live stream, I think it's Facebook. But I'm gonna be on that. They wanted me to come on there, and to be. I thought I was just gonna be like part of their Q&A panel, but they made a big to do about it, and they're like, "Oh, Josh is a special guest," and then so. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. That live stream is going to start tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever time zone you're in, subtract the hours properly. So remember, 7 p.m. Eastern is when that's going to start, and we're going to try to hopefully give you guys the link. Maybe my wife can put the link to the stream on our Facebook when it starts.
I will. I'll do that.
Right, and then that way you guys will have a link, straight to there, and then we'll be doing that tomorrow. So definitely, guys, check that out. So thank you, I See You See Me, for reminding of us of that, so we can let everybody know about that. But that is upcoming.
It's 6 feet apart.
Right, and don't forget the last video, the 6 feet a fart video. Definitely got to check that. You got to watch the whole thing till the end. So, all right, guys. But I think that just about does it. Honey, do you have any other last minute stuff that you want to throw in there real quick?
I want everybody to have a nice Easter, and I hope they have a wonderful weekend, and I hope they tune into your show tomorrow and watch you on the live feed. And thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, we hope to have you back. I hope to have you back.
You have me upstairs. I'm right here.
On the show, though, you're much nicer. You're much nicer on the show.
Right?
Just kidding. I love you, honey. All right, guys. Tune in next week. I'm not sure. I think we got something special next week. I don't know yet. We'll see. But we got some things coming up, guys. So definitely stay tuned. Remember, seek the truth. Hi.
Oh my God.
We both read each other.